In his exhibition, Face Forward, Grinnell College Museum of Art's Associate Director and Curator, Daniel Strong, asks you to consider, how many faces, besides your own in the mirror, have you laid eyes on in the past year? With this question in mind, he asks you to look again and enjoy the diversity of portraiture and figurative works in our collection, including new acquisitions that you may not have seen at GCMoA before. In this video, you'll hear Dan's overview of Face Forward.
The word face is both a noun and a verb. Our exhibition title, Face Forward, describes both a state of being and also an action. It can be a request or a command, and it can also be a suggestion, encouragement, or a bit of advice in challenging times. In the making of a portrait, whether you're an artist creating a picture or a police officer taking a mugshot, each maker is in the same pursuit. Face forward is the maker's direction to their subject. In darkroom mirror study, one of the most recent photographs to enter the college's art collection by the artist Paul Mpaji Sipuya, the face of the figure in the image, who is in fact the artist himself, is turned away from us, while the tool of his art, the camera, perched upon his shoulder, is aimed directly at us. We are exposed to the camera, Sipuya's gaze by proxy, yet his face, his identity, if you will, is denied to us. This mirrors the ultimate effect once his photograph of the subject, implied to be us in this image, is produced as the work of art. If this camera were recording an image of you, your face would appear in the final photograph, yet the artist's own will not. Still, it will be considered his photograph, and valued as such in our museum's collection. So who is the actual subject? On the face of it, pun intended, a portrait is a reflection, a mirror of sorts, of the individual in the picture, but it's also a portrait or reflection of the artist who made it. This painting, known to us as Portrait of a Lady in a Red Dress, is attributed to the Flemish artist Justus Sustermans. It is one of Grinnell College's good older works of art from about 1640. But while the artist's name is known to us, or at least suspected, the sitter's is not. Presumably this woman had the means or the stature to be the subject of this portrait, which has survived 400 years. Yet the ability to actually identify her seems not to have survived as a priority. As it is now, for museum purposes, we remain more interested in who the artist is. This photograph is our latest acquisition. It arrived on campus January 24th and is exhibited at Grinnell for the first time. It is a more straightforward self-portrait, almost. The artist, and as with Sipuya's photograph, also the figure in the picture, is Catherine Opie, who first achieved acclaim for her visionary series of portraits, taken in the 1990s, of herself and her cohort in the queer communities of San Francisco and Los Angeles, at a dire time during what we might now call our last pandemic. As friends and acquaintances died and mourned around her in tragic circumstances and numbers, and as those same people were shunned by the public, she captured the proud, the marginalized, and the defiant in bust and full-length portraits inspired by the great portraits and portraitists of the European Renaissance. Opie's color, bearing, and inscrutable countenance refer to artists such as Hans Holbein, painter of notable figures of his time. But if this is a self-portrait, why is it called Beau? And if portraiture is about identity, what's with the fake mustache that appears throughout the series? Portraiture is perhaps not about identity, but power over identity, whose power and how that power is deployed. The fake mustache is a talisman of identity, performance, gender stereotype, or an existence incognito, an accessory to the bearer's and the artist's power to beguile. Alex Soth is a photographer who travels the world photographing people he does not know, and at least at first. He finds his subjects by word of mouth in the communities he visits, learning from chance encounters whom he might photograph in that particular location. He's done this in cities and towns up and down the Mississippi, including New Orleans, where he met Kenny, the individual seen in his sitting room in this picture. The artist's search is for individuals who, in his own words, know how to inhabit space. By this measure, the power of a portrait is something we might call presence, a je ne sais quoi to sustain viewers' interest, their eyes, their imaginations, a presence which is a marker of both the artist and the sitter. The photograph's success, however, the final judgment of its quality of presence, depends on another collaborator, you, the viewer. In an essay called A Trip to Xanadu, the writer Joan Didion reflected on her first visit to the tycoon William Randolph Hearst's castle overlooking the Pacific in San Simeon, California. She found the estate, like a lot of architectural projects, to be an expansive, somewhat bombastic portrait of Hearst himself. In the course of the essay, the words Didion uses to embroider her account contribute to a portrait we come to witness as one of Didion herself. All works of art, whomever else they may consider, are portraits of the artist. Whatever Hearst's castle was intended to be or embody, that Didion found it wanting is revealed in her final judgment, the essay's final sentence. She writes, "Make a place available to the eyes, and in certain ways it is no longer available to the imagination." Only a writer would say such a thing. Certainly not a lover of the visual arts, or a curator of the visual arts, whose imagination is driven precisely by what is available to the eyes. As a curator, a purveyor of pictures, I am ritually called upon to translate the visual into the verbal, often at great pains and ending on loose tangents, as I have done here. I have struggled to both compose these thoughts coherently and maintain your attention over these few minutes. What I really want you to do is look at the pictures. See more faces and experience less of me at grinnell.edu/museum.